everyone. Welcome to the Arseholics podcast. And I'll firstly apologize for the delay for anyone who has been trying to watch live. But just I need everyone to understand the dedication that it's taken for us to get here. So, look, we've got an amazing guest with us today, Stevie. I'm going to introduce him properly in a second. But, Mize, unfortunately, has got the sniffles, so couldn't make it. We had all kinds of login issues. I've got allergy issues going on with my eye, so I'm not high. If anyone's watching this live and I'm not high. I promise. I've just taken the lenses out of one eye so I can see through
it's
one
all
eye.
Off today, honestly.
It's all going mad. Stevie had his own challenges with his laptop. Now he's on his iPad. But anyway, listen. If you're tuning in, thank you. We're gonna make an extra effort to make this great because of the effort we had to go to actually record. I am going to immediately, I'm going to immediately acknowledge the fact that we've had a good weekend again by beating Burnley and not conceding any goals. I mean, at the moment, it's not even about conceding goals; it's about conceding shots on goal. We didn't concede a shot on goal again. Unfortunately, as opposed to last weekend where loads of other people lost, not everyone else lost this weekend. Tottenham still did, so that's funny. But okay, so we're going to talk about all that and a bit more because we haven't recorded in a bit, so we can reflect on where everything is and how we feel about Arsenal. And I'm presuming we feel incredibly good, but we will evaluate on that and expand. But let me introduce Stevie properly. So Stevie is a very good friend of the podcast. I've been on one of his babies, I should say, beyond the hashtag. But Stevie, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And please, just for people who don't know you, just let them know about your own work and all the great stuff that you're doing with regards to not just Arsenal, but stuff broader than just Arsenal.
Yeah. No, thanks, Raj, and all the Arseholic boys for having me on. This has been a long time coming anyway. I know you came on my podcast and this collab's been pending for a while. So yeah, I'm Steven, for those who don't know me. So I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan, and now an award-winning podcast creator and social media kind of content creator as well. So my podcast or platform is called Beyond the Hashtag, and it started as a form of kind of challenging the discrimination issues that were happening within British football, and especially at the time of when the Euro 2020 stuff happened with Saka and Sancho and Rashford and stuff, and then that kind of sparked a wider discussion and me kind of campaigning for anti-discrimination and solution to all the issues that were happening, both kind of short term with all the abuse stuff, but also long term with many different issues such as lack of ethnic minority coaches and all the kind of other issues. So kind of got a lot of traction for that, and it's become sort of as Ross said, one of my babies that I've sort of continued for the last 5 years and campaigning for all that kind of stuff. And now it's just grown into a general kind of football platform in general, where we still talk about those issues and still try to be consistent with them. But at the moment, I'd kind of use it to talk about all aspects of football. So even myself, when I go to Arsenal games, I'll vlog that. At the moment, I'm doing a consistent knee slide series. So I'm knee slides are my favorite celebration. It's really weird and niche, and I rate and analyze the knee slides that happen in the Premier League every single week. And so I'm going to do one. I've been consistent, so from game week 2 up until now. So I think now I'm in game week 10. So I will do this week's knee slide. So for Arsenal fans who are watching, that will feature a certain Declan Rice, who celebrated his goal with the knee slide this week. So yeah, if you're a fan of just weird, quirky stuff like that, and we also analyze that nostalgic knee slide stuff like this, then that's what I'm kind of doing at the moment. And outside of that, I'm a project manager at work, and I'm also now kind of transitioning into more of an MC events hosting kind of space. I host birthdays, baby showers, hopefully weddings and things like this one day. So that's sort of my new kind of venture to kind of look out for, where you might be seeing me in the next few weeks and months.
Stevie, what don't you do?
Sleep, actually, I think.
Unbelievable. I mean, I didn't even know some of that stuff. I didn't know most of that stuff. So, firstly, MCing stuff, brilliant. And I hope that's going well. It sounds like it started to go well. But what I really wanted to hear about, because when we spoke about last, the knee slide thing wasn't going on, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So just expand on that a little bit. I'm curious. So what's it? So you analyze the knee slides and in terms of their pedigree of all the classic knee slides of the past? Is that what you do?
Yeah, so actually it started off with the past. So basically, put it this way, people like Henry and Drogba are the standard. They're like your 10 out of 10. So you can picture like how they used to celebrate their knee slides. So and then I kind of did some random people that I've done, like Harry Maguire, who actually is actually quite good and unexpectedly, because he's a centre back. But actually, when you watch Harry Maguire's goals and you see his knee slides, you're like, actually, wow, like, he's a very good knee slider. But then you have like some people who try and do good knee slides and they don't do them that well. So it started off as a nostalgic thing, and then I realized, wow, like people are doing knee slides like every week in the Premier League. Let me like analyze how they're doing against like the general standard of your Henrys and your Drogbas and stuff, and then it's just become like a weekly thing. That's just like now whenever someone does a knee slide, that I'll get the DMs being like, oh Stephen, like what did you rate of this, what did you do this? So instead of me just going back and forth individually with people, I was like, let me just do a video to just analyze all of it in general so people can just get their fix in one video. So that's what I mean. I've been doing it for the last 9 weeks in a row, and I'll do it for this week in the next couple of days when the game week's finished. So yeah, if you go on my TikTok or my Instagram, like you'll see just me like in a little screen, like just analyzing and talking about the different knee slides that have happened each week.
I mean, this is supremely niche.
Supremely
niche. But such is just the fanaticism over football. I can imagine that there is genuinely a demand for someone to analyze these slides. This is phenomenal. So, okay, like before we move on, like so for maybe there's, I don't know if there's a spoiler on any of your previous kind of analysis, but so far this season, who's had the best knee slide?
I think there's been a few. There's Harry Maguire the other week against Liverpool, just for the fact that it was like a big last minute winner, actually, not even equalizer. And him in general, it's more of like the form he does and also like the distance that he gets on the knee slide. And then there's another one, John McGinn. So I think he was either a winner or an equalizer, but he got higher ratings because he not only got distance, but he did his celebration in the knee slide, his little hands thing or whatever. So you get extra style points for doing that, all that kind of stuff. But then there's other ones who like will, I don't know, I think that Esteval scored a winner against Liverpool where like people would have thought, oh my god, it's such a great knee slide. But actually when you analyze it, he only knee slid for like a short amount of time and then got up again. And I give people less points for like not holding their knee slide. Like if you think about Henry against Tottenham, like he's got a statue of that knee slide, right? Because he not only went the distance, but he held it there, and like that's like the standard. You got like Drogba's who's like got countless amount of knee slides. So you got to like, if you're gonna do a knee slide, do it properly and like make that the celebration. Don't like make it a half-hearted one kind of thing.
This is brilliant. I mean, I honestly, I could, because this is sort of taking me by surprise a little bit. I've got so many more questions, but I feel like we'll just take up all the time you're asking those questions. I mean, seriously, phenomenal stuff, mate. So, have you been knee sliding recently with the results? I mean, Arsenal are a machine right now.
We're flying,
yeah, and I feel like all the scars of the past few seasons. I say scars, I mean, like we've been playing really good stuff, but not coming out on top. I think everyone's got that pretty healthy. Not pessimism isn't the word, maybe caution, right, about getting too ahead of ourselves. But it's quite hard, isn't it? Because it's not like we're just scraping wins by the skins of our teeth. Yes, it's not 5-0, 6-0 wins, but we are this kind of fortress within a team. It feels like we've got the answer to every question. We've got this squad that is pretty mad, like, because it's not just a big squad. It's a squad of it's like a toolbox with just loads of different tools. And whatever the project is, you've got a bunch of tools that is going to fix that issue. How do you feel, mate? Like, so right now, we are 10 games in. It's a nice round number. 10 games in, Arsenal having the start of the season that we did on paper, all looked pretty tricky, but played 10, won 8, drawn 1, lost 1, goals scored 18, goals against 3, goal difference 15. Won our last 5 games in a row, points 25. We are 6 points ahead of second place Man City, just after all the games have just finished today. So Man City have won. So we're 6 points off second place Man City. We are 7 points off third place and the champions Liverpool, who are also sort of joint on that many points with Bournemouth. Just taking a beat, how do you feel with everything I've just said? Tell me everything that's coming into your mind.
I'm weirdly calm about it, like, and I don't know whether it's like still a slight like nervousness because I've seen us have good starts to the seasons previously, but I'm like, I just can't actually imagine like how like good or can't believe how good our squad actually is, because like the fact that people like Odegaard, Havertz, um, Jesus, all these players are like out, and we're just not missing them. Like years gone by, as Arsenal fans, we know like we've had the scars. You get 2, 3, 4 players of like the nature of the injuries that we've had out, that's our season kind of collapsed. And yeah, it typically, if that happened at this point in the season, we'd be like, like we're going to be out of the title race by November, and now we're fighting the rest of the season for top 4 or whatever it is. So it's just the fact that there's just so much calm in like the overall squad side of things, because our squad is that good. But then when you look on the pitch, like just don't look like conceding ever. And like the fact that we can all remember the 3 goals that we've conceded this season, I'll literally tell you, it was Haaland, it was the Szoboszlai madness, and then the Newcastle header. Like that's it. That's literally the only goals we've conceded this season. The fact that we can do that, yeah, it's just absolutely insane. And I know there's all this talk about, are we going to break Chelsea's record? I don't give a flying something whether we break Chelsea's record or not. I just want to win the league. Like whether we do all of that or not, I just want to win the league. So I think like defenses win leagues, as Alex Ferguson always used to say. So we've got the foundation to set up. So I think it's just a case of, if we carry on at that consistency, yes, we'll probably lose still 1 or 2 more games throughout the rest of the season. But if we carry on at that consistency, then it's a case of that try and stop us. Like you've got to have a good reason, and got to do something extra special to stop us. And at the moment, it kind of looks like there's only one special outfit that could potentially outdo us, which is that robot that plays in Sky Blue. He's the only one who I think is looking like kind of toppling us at the moment. But yeah, it's looking all systems go at the moment for us to win this league.
Well said. That robot thing in blue that you sort of described. I mean, he was at it this weekend again.
Yeah.
They won 3-1. He scored twice. I didn't watch the whole game, but I saw this image of a stat that was going on social media. So I haven't had the chance to validate it, but it seemed to suggest that Haaland scored, I think, 13 goals or something like that so far, and the second highest scorer had scored 1.
Yeah.
That's
I think
unbelievable.
2 with an own goal or something like that. It was just
Right.
But
That's
same point.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he's just ridiculous.
We're getting a lot of heat, attention, whatever you want to call it, about our set piece bias, and the fact that we've got a lot of goals that have been scored from set pieces, and therefore the proportion of open play goals is slightly smaller. But you rightly, I think, pointed out, because I agree with you, that it currently looks like our biggest threat is Man City, but their percentage reliance on one human being is way higher than this reliance that we seem to have on a certain type of goal. But why do you think it's come to this, Stevie? Right, so because I mean, let's just, we'll have loads of time to talk about Arsenal, but for all of Arsenal's good, it's just a bit weird to be this many points clear at this point in the season, when we've had the fixtures that we've had. And you've got to point to the fact that Liverpool, Man City, and others, you probably count Chelsea in this, but let's just maybe focus on those 2 teams. They've just not really been at the races, have they? And like, just getting your thoughts on Liverpool for a second, because there's so many theories that have been pushed out about Liverpool as to why it's just not clicking. Why do you think it is? Why do you think that Liverpool were at one point, even they start the season actually above us after the first few games, and now just dropped so considerably? Why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, results-wise, I think it was always going to catch up with them. I think it was was it 4 or 5 of like the first games that they played was just the last minute scraping winners, and the last 10 minutes, last 5 minutes and stuff. So I think that was never going to be sustainable. But I think the longer term, I think they have made a lot of changes to their squad, with the fullbacks and the forward line and stuff like this. So I think it was always going to take a while to gel. And I've heard mentioned in the media that this might be their transition season compared to like last year. So I think that's a fair bit of analysis to say that, okay, now is actually where they're feeling the effects of now, not just Klopp changing, but that now all the players and stuff kind of changing and moving on and stuff. I think last year was maybe just a continuation of what Klopp had already done, but just maybe 1 or 2 tactical tweaks to help them get over the line and maintain that consistency, because they were actually in, people kind of sometimes forget that they were in title races in the last 2 or 3 years of Klopp's reign without winning it. Like I think they would maybe drop off by like March or April and maybe finish like third or something, but they were like in title races. So it wasn't as if like they were this random like kind of bad team that Klopp had left behind. Like they were still a very, very good team, and Slot just proved that they were basically a title winning like ready team to kind of kick off, and he just needed to like help them maintain that, or maybe like do 1 or 2% extra to get them over the line. So I think now is where they're like, hey, the contracts kind of came to an end for certain players, and they just had to make those big changes. And I think now you're seeing how they're struggling to gel on that front. And I think maybe 1 or 2 of their, you've got your Van Dijks and your Salahs, they're getting a bit older now as well, so they're not performing maybe at the level that they need to be. So I think there's all these kind of factors bubbling into one, and it's kind of coming home to roost. I still look at them and look at their squad and say they're still going to be up there at the end of the season. So it's not me writing them off in the title race, but it gets to a point. I think with like City last season, when everyone was saying, "Oh, they'll be back in the title race. They'll be back in the title race," and they just kept losing. You're like, you can't lose this many games and still be in the title race. In December, January, like it gets to a point where mathematically it looks a little bit silly. So Liverpool are not at that point yet, but I think if they, between now and Christmas, if they still lose a couple more games, I think it could get very, very sticky for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, some of the comments coming in, and Shiv's comment that I just put on the screen, suggesting lots of changes, but obviously they are still grieving from the sad death of Diogo Jota at the beginning of the season. But
of course,
yeah. And it's interesting though, isn't it? Because obviously that happened, and it must have affected the squad massively. They managed to scrape wins though through that kind of the beginning of the season, so they clearly dealt with that incredibly well. It's interesting when you analyze what's happening there, because I think you put the nail on the head when you talked about the theory that this is their transition season, right? Is quite a good one, because I get the logic behind that. He's basically gone in last season and gone, okay, do you know what? We weren't really that bad. We were actually in a title race last season, and it kind of dropped off towards the end. But maybe I just don't really need to do that much. Maybe I shouldn't do much because I can't make many signings, whatever. And then they've made all the signings, and this is the transition year. The interesting overlay to that point is a theory that this isn't my own, so I can't take credit for it, but it's that basically Liverpool planned relatively well ahead of when this summer happened, and sort of planned that this summer that we're going to do all this business. These are sort of players that we wanted to bring in, and actually in some ways that worked to their detriment slightly, because they actually misjudged the direction that the league was going in, and have effectively assembled a squad of players to play a certain way, but also kind of deal with the league in a certain way, and didn't anticipate that actually in the summer, it feels like all the clubs, or most of the clubs, have sort of turned around and gone, actually, we need to go in this slightly more sort of physically robust direction. We need to embrace directness a little bit more. And it feels like they've just not forecast that well enough. And the players that they brought in, whether it's Kirkes or Frimpong or Wirtz, they're not really there to play in a system that was supposed to deal with this and adapt to this. So that's an interesting theory, and I'm sure there's people who have done like much better analysis on it. And I'd be keen to kind of look at that more. If someone's got any good piece of analysis on that, please direct it my way. But it is interesting, and I wonder though, like they beat Aston Villa, and all of a sudden, Salah scored, and I know Salah scores a goal that's completely gifted by Emi Martinez, who, by the way, gets away with this stuff all the time. Everyone still just talks about him as this great goalkeeper. Great goalkeepers don't make this many mistakes. It's just I'm not having that anymore, Stevie. That this guy's a top goalkeeper. He just keeps doing this, and now he's gifted Mohamed Salah form all of a sudden. But anyway, the point is, Mohamed Salah did get his goal. They go on and they win 2-0. And then suddenly you kind of look at it and go, actually, you know what? Actually, maybe they can get into a bit of a groove now. Maybe they've got their confidence back a little bit. And, it's still, in theory, early days. And so, I'm sure that they can sort of turn it around. But it is interesting, right? Because these two teams that we've just talked about play each other next weekend.
Yes.
What do you want as an Arsenal fan in this scenario? Like, would you rather, the diplomatic thing would take a draw? Whatever. Or is there one of these teams that you kind of want to be stamped out?
I would love a draw, but I think hand on heart, considering what happened with the league last year, if Liverpool could win and basically help draw City back or help push City further away from us. At the moment, I see City as our biggest challengers, basically. Like right now, if you speak to me right now, 10 games in, so I need City to be dropping points because Haaland is just it looks like he's just going to flat track bully every other team. So I think I need, annoyingly, we've played them already. So, and that was our big chance to kind of take points off them. And we only took two, but I don't really see too many other teams taking points off City. So therefore, I need your teams like Liverpool. I don't know if City have gone to St. James's Park, but all those tricky, like naturally tricky games, I need them to lose points in them. And I feel like Liverpool will at this point take care of themselves unless they do something spectacular to get back into the title race properly. So yeah, hand on heart, I'd have to say I'd prefer Liverpool to win that game. It's at Anfield anyway, and I think that's all set up for them to do their Anfield thing that they normally do, which is hopefully going to happen. But yeah, I think either Liverpool win or worst case a draw. But if City win that game, that will just rubber stamp them as to be like, yeah, we are properly in this title race and we're ready to challenge Arsenal. And that whole Pep cloud starts coming back, and then people start having the chat about, oh, can Arsenal maintain it, and Arteta being Pep's junior person, and all this kind of stuff starts coming back. I don't need any of that drama right now. I just need City just to stay where they need to be, and yeah, Liverpool and City can fight out for second place, but we just need to pull away as much as we can.
Is it? I it's interesting. I hadn't really thought of it in that angle so much. I was actually thinking that maybe I prefer City to win, and actually my reason for that was just that. One, I think I'm a little worried that if Liverpool beat City, and by the way, it's at the Etihad actually, like this weekend.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So they got to go. So if they beat them, my worry is a little bit is they'll go, right, we're back. Like, so if Liverpool beat them, I've got that slight concern. They'll go like, right, we're back, and like actually really get that mojo going again. And it's really not outside the realms of possibility that, you know, we do drop some points, like, you know, soon, and all of a sudden, you know, when in that little period, you know, we've got Spurs and we've got Chelsea kind of with Bayern Munich in the middle. Yeah, that little period especially, we could drop some points. And you know, I'd hate to think Liverpool get into a run of form over that space of time and actually close the gap. The other reason why I don't mind as much, I think in my mind, if Man City win, is Man City win, it's gonna be because of Haaland again. Yeah. And they surely cannot go the whole season without that guy picking up an injury at some point.
Yeah.
Like, surely. And also he'll have an off game, and when he's having an off game, they lose.
Yeah,
like, that's actually happening. So yeah, look, I think I won't quite enjoy it because I think you've convinced me that actually there's reasons to kind of go either way on this one, and so I think I'll just kind of enjoy it. But yeah, okay, let's focus on Arsenal now.
I was going to say,
because
I was going to say we can only enjoy whatever happens next Sunday if we do our job on the Saturday. So it's good that we're going back to Arsenal.
We go back to Arsenal. Yeah, you're completely right. So you're right. We play Sunderland away. And before we really look at that, like, we've just beaten Burnley. It's a game where on paper you think Arsenal should win as a newly promoted team. You know, we should be beating newly promoted teams. The newly promoted teams this season have been doing pretty well. They've not been
exactly.
Yeah, I don't. You know, they're not like the three amigos from last season. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they look pretty good. And Burnley were incredible last season in the Championship in terms of how they defended specifically. And I think the, you know, a really interesting kind of point going into the game was I think the only team that had beaten them at Turf Moor for a long, long while was Liverpool the other day.
Liverpool, yeah.
Who basically won by accident. You know, like they did not deserve to win that game. That was like a brain fart of a handball, which got them a penalty. But anyway, the point is, it's not necessarily that simple a game, but we did the business. Now, I didn't watch the whole game. I didn't watch the 90 minutes. It's this annoying 3:00 kickoff in the UK. I don't know if it was the same situation for you. But you know, from the highlights and from everything that I've read about that game, it sounds like the first half we were incredibly professional, and we did something really random, which was score from a corner. I mean,
I've never seen us do it before. Never.
Yeah. No. But talk to me, Stevie, about this, right? Like, because, you know, okay, it's all right. Look, we're good at corners. We score from corners. Like it happens. We score different types of goals from corners. We whatever. But this was the first corner of the bloody game. Yeah.
Yeah,
So like, I mean, at what point, right, is it us just doing really amazing things and the opposition just completely? I don't know whether it's not preparing properly because I think that would be a disservice. The amount of preparation teams do these days are crazy. But have we just got some aura with it? I mean, what do you think, mate? Like, what do you think about this situation we find ourselves
it's
perennially in?
it's silly at this point. Honestly, I think last year was a bit of a like running joke, but this year it's actually just been like we're just that good. I think it's just become just the main, almost like the ironically the main weapon in our arsenal to actually break down teams. Because I think, and the irony is we can play very good football. We showed like in the League Cup game the other day, like when we want to put it together, we can. But the fact is now everyone fears us as a footballing team. They're just going to sit two banks of four against us and make it difficult to break us down, or for us to break them down. So then the main weapon is set pieces, free kicks, and corners. And I think now, I think there's some kind of tactical thing that when we get a corner, we slow it down, we have a bit of build up, and like the corner takers take a while to do it, so it just adds to the drama of us actually taking the corner. And then but then I think two main things on a football level: we've got delivery like Declan Rice, and we've got someone like Gabriel who's literally an animal who literally wants to attack every single ball. And it's no coincidence that he either gets a goal or gets an assist from like most of these corners. Then those are two very simple reasons why it's actually working so well. So it's like, okay, if you can't stop Rice's delivery because he's going to take the corner, but if you're going to try and stop Gabriel, you're probably going to have to foul him, because I don't really see what other way there is to stop someone like that. So I think that's probably a simple reason as to why it's working so well.
It's mad, isn't it, with Gabriel? I want to talk about both of Declan Rice and Gabriel. Gabriel is the thing that blows my mind about this is it's not just the fact that he is scoring these powerful headers. It's not like he's doing this thing where I think about really good goal scorers from corners, like particularly centre backs. Think of John Terry, and
Yeah.
it felt like the John Terry thing was like this powerful kind of run, this leap, this powerful header, and Gabriel can do that. But I think the thing that I think is nuts with him is he's also not just doing that; he's also doing the let me find a creative way to make an assist. I mean, this was an assist this weekend, right? And that was pretty creative. Yeah. It was like a really aware, just dink kind of back across. He's done the sort of headers across as well. Mate. I mean, I'm not sure I've seen any centre back this potent
in the box. Yeah.
In the box, I don't think I've seen it. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Like, because maybe we saw it coming to us then. He's been doing pretty well over the last couple of years with our corners, but I mean, this is just outrageous, isn't it? I mean, like, at what point do you sort of go, this is not just one of the best defenders in the league. This is one of the best players in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, I think someone on Sky Sports, I think it was like, if Arsenal win this league, like Gabriel could win Player of the Season, and it's not even a far-fetched shout because he's in both boxes he's just so dominant, and like you said, it's almost like unheard of, like how dominant he's being in the attacking box. Like just someone who, when he goes there, like it feels like he has more desire and hunger than a striker to score a goal or to make an impact in that box. It's crazy to see. And I think you raised a really good point about how he's now been a bit more creative with what he's doing in the box. So it's not just, okay, I'm going up to try and head the ball like into the net. It's like, okay, if I'm running at the back post, then I know that the angle's going to be a bit tight for me to score. So my main job is to try and get that ball back across the box for someone else to score. If I'm running at the front post, then I need to just flick it on so someone else can head it at the back post. Like, he's doing like all the different things rather than just I'm coming here to try and score a goal. If I don't score a goal, I'm running back to the halfway line kind of thing. Like, he's just mixing it up, which is crazy. And he must have some kind of link and relationship with Declan Rice to know that what kind of ball Declan's going to put in versus then what kind of run he's going to make and stuff like this. So I think again, there has to be a lot of credit to the set piece coach, because he's probably the brains behind all of this stuff happening, but it doesn't happen without that desire, like pure desire and hunger from Gabriel, and obviously the ability to then execute it as well from both him and Declan.
Yeah, completely, mate. With Gabriel, there's something I feel really nice about it as well, right? Because you know how Arteta loves his long burn stuff, right? He's got his projects, his phases, his, you know, and we buy into it because we can see year on year, like, you know, the sort of incremental improvements. When you look at Gabriel, I mean, correct if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure, you know, I know that Arteta had a sort of January window when he first kind of came in, and there was a few sort of tactical plaster-like signings. But I'm pretty sure when we got to the summer, the first major signing he made was Gabriel. I'm pretty sure it was either the first or it was, you know, the first, second, but it was in that window. First centre back, first proper centre back, like he signed that wasn't an obvious like short-term fix. And to think that, you know, now many years on, he's the bedrock of probably the best defense in Europe. In fact, it's not a problem anymore. He's the bedrock of the best defense of Europe, and he's arguably creating a legacy as one of the best attacking centre backs in Premier League history. You know, it just feels really nice when you think about, you know, you can imagine Arteta sitting there just in tears at home going, I knew it. They doubted me, you know.
Yeah. No, literally, and I think that sums up, and hopefully when we do go on to win the league, like all these stories that people are going to look back on, and all these kind of projects and things that Arteta's been working on, that's been him as a manager, and this is why like Arsenal fans have stuck with him for so long. Where like outside of Arsenal, like we get so much criticism and so many laughs and stuff, being you don't win this and you don't do that, and the second again, and all this kind of stuff. But like considering our journey as Arsenal fans, where we've been through like the latter years of Wenger and what happened with Emery and all the structural changes that we've had, like we could see from day dot, from year one, like what Arteta's been trying to do, not just on the pitch but around this whole club. And you know, the amount of changes he's made like across the whole club, the training ground and everything, the stadium now, stuff like this is all what's culminating in what's hopefully we all pray is going to be this title win. So it's like it's not just, we've done it so differently to how most of the other clubs have done it, where like Liverpool are the only ones who like Klopp has done something like similar, and obviously he's probably been a bit more successful in terms of like he was consistently getting to finals and stuff like this. But like all the other clubs, they've just gone for the quick fix, or like in Man City's case, just got like the best manager like arguably ever, and just bought all the best players ever, and then just done it like that. And we don't speak too much about what Chelsea do, but like what Arteta has done to just shift like monumentally a whole club, like literally turn it on its head, and now to culminate in what should hopefully be sustainable success. We're not just trying to win this league in 2026 and then fall off a cliff and all the players like leave again, like, you know, like a Leicester or I think that's like Monaco when they won a league with all their young players. And then they all got sold the year after. Like, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to build a legacy here and get people to win leagues and Champions Leagues for kind of years to come. So like all these kind of projects are like, this should not even just be like the kind of mountaintop that we get to with the projects. It should just be like almost like another foundation that we set to then be winning sustainably, like for the next 5-10 years to come.
It's a really good point, and I guess it's cemented by the fact that these contracts that we keep on churning out to these very established players, like these guys are all buying into this project. We're signing them up to good long contract. I mean, not Chelsea long contracts, but you know, there's an intention from all parties that this is just the start of a journey. So I completely agree with that, mate. I want to just go back to you were talking about Declan Rice. You know, do you remember? You're old enough to remember, like me, like when Beckham was at his peak, right? And you remember, like, whenever any other player used to put in a great cross or a great free kick, even when it's on the playground, forget professional football, the people be like, "Oh, man, it was like Beckham-esque kind of," you know. They would describe, brother. Soccer Saturday. I watched Soccer Saturday the other day. Yeah, I think it's Derby County or something like this is playing, and you know they switched to the guy who's like commenting on the Derby County game.
Yeah,
and he's talking about one of their players. He goes, "Oh, he's whipped it in, Declan Rice-esque," and I was like, brother. I was like, hang on, brother. I was like, that when that happens, exactly, man. Like when someone is saying that you made, and he deserves that right now, because I know it hasn't been for that long. It's not like I'm not fucking saying Declan Rice, David Beckham looks like calm down. What I'm saying is the quality, like you were saying, of his deliveries. I mean, people talk about it. We have been talking about it, but I mean, it's just uncanny. I mean, the thing is, maybe this is wrong, but I've always sort of thought, listen, professional footballers should be able to fucking kick it wherever they want at any speed, like whatever. I've always thought that anyway. but he does that, right? He's so clearly like just going, right, I know I want to put it here, and it's just whipped. It's everything. It's just magnificent. And
Yeah.
um that combination, like you said, is just brilliant. Where, and it's a bit of an odd question to ask, but where do you think Declan Rice currently sits in terms of dead ball specialists in the world? Does he have some way to go? Are there other players out there that you think can sort of really safely say they're better than him right now?
In Europe, like especially again with the amount of goals we score from set pieces, so it's being like highlighted week on week on week. Like you struggle to find someone who is actually like stone cold better than him right now as a dead ball specialist. Like people used to say James Ward-Prowse because he had the consistency, but he's sort of fallen off a cliff now and he barely even plays games and
That's
stuff
a
anymore.
name and a
So
half, James
yeah.
Ward-Prowse. Man. I haven't even thought about that guy in ages.
Oh,
Jeez.
he's. I mean, I think especially with like scoring goals from free kicks, especially I think Ward-Prowse is still like. I'd probably even still have him above Declan Rice if you're talking about scoring goals, because Declan Rice hasn't actually scored that many goals from free kicks, but just overall, maybe because he doesn't actually take that many free kicks that are like shots on goal. Anyway, that's another discussion. But we see how many balls Declan Rice whips in from corners, from wide free kicks and stuff, and they're just on the money. Now he's doing it for England as well as Arsenal. Like it's just again and again and again and again. And if they're not leading to a chance, that they're leading to a goal itself. So he's just like, and the fact that now he can be referenced as a Declan Rice-esque kind of free kick that shows the level that he's hit with these. And I think obviously we go to games so we can kind of see it like visually in the ground. Like it's quite an art form, like to do what he does. Like, it's the pace that he generates on these balls, and then the whip, and it's literally just on the money. Keeper can do nothing about it, and it's just. I think sometimes until you see it like in the flesh, like because maybe sometimes when you watch on TV, you just think, yeah, like of course, like you're just gonna whip into the box and someone's gonna head it in. But when you literally see it, and I've been lucky enough sometimes to see it in games where I'm maybe towards the corner flag, so I can literally see the angle of the ball getting whipped in. It's like beautiful to watch. Like at times, it's like wow, like this is genuinely a high level piece of skill that he's executing, and not to even discredit Saka on the other side. Like when Saka gets it right, he's not as consistent as Declan, but when he gets it right as well, like it's also like a thing of beauty. So that again, both of those two play a massive part in our success from set pieces. But yeah, Declan is just he's top.
He is top, mate, and he scored the second goal, which was beautiful for a couple of reasons. Why, one of the reasons why I really liked it might be a silly reason, but everyone's talking about long throws at the moment, right? Everyone's talking about how like how more and more teams are going for the long throws, how dangerous these long throws are. And what I love about the goal that we scored is it all started from Burnley having a long
They're
throw.
long throw.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Gabriel just going, I'm not having any of this.
Bang.
Bang, right? He just jumps up, bang, going, yeah, man. Like that's how you deal with this shit. And 5-10 seconds later, we're right up at the other end. Declan Rice scores a brilliant header. There's lots about that goal to like, but I want to talk about one bit, which I then want to expand to get your thoughts on this more broadly.
I know where this is going.
Okay. Hopefully, yeah. Victor.
A certain number 14,
Yeah.
yes.
So, firstly, I didn't know he had that in his locker, that ball. That was pretty incredible, to the point where immediately I was like, well, okay, did you really mean to do that? But I was like, well, he must have meant to do that, because what else could he, was he doing? Anyway, obviously he scored the first goal, and I think what he did in that moment there seemed to typify the fact that this seemed to be his most confident, most fluent, most maybe engaged performance in an Arsenal shirt. It was like for the first 45 minutes, and obviously he only played 45 minutes. He looked really, really, really good. And it's a shame that he only ended up scoring one goal, and it's a shame that he only ended up sort of contributing in that way to another goal, because he actually gave two pretty good layoffs to Saka, which on another day Saka probably buries. Can you talk to me a bit about Gyok? Because obviously I'm really pleased that he's played well yesterday, and I hope it goes on like this. And because Arsenal are winning, like it's very difficult to criticize anyone. But tell me what you think about Gyok's start to the season, and what you felt when you saw how he played against Burnley, and how you think he'll kick on.
Yeah, I think echo your points on Burnley. I think it was one of his best halves of football that he's had like for us, and I think I've seen it a few times now. I think with the I think it was the Leeds game where he scored a couple, and then I think there was it the Champions League game where he got another couple as well. He's just someone where it's very very evident when he gets on the score sheet, it just elevates his game like so much, and it just strikes me as like a confidence player. Where, especially with his position, when he scores, then the rest of the game he plays well. So it's almost like you need him to get a goal in the first 15 minutes to help his performance. I think outside of that, just looking at the wider season that he's had, I think personally I've had to like almost like check my expectations as an Arsenal fan and as someone who's now like got Gyökeres as our number 9, because I think we've all cried out for this number 9 for years. Like who's like Aubameyang, I think it was like the last proper goal scoring like high level number 9 that we had, and I think we were just expecting Gyökeres to be like, you know, almost like Haaland-ish, where it's like, yeah, this is the one signing we need to just take us to the league. But I think it was very, very evident like he wasn't that, in terms of like he's not this goal scoring machine. He is a bit of a goal scoring machine, but not to the level of Haaland. But I think it's very evident now he's like a lot more of that as an all round, like as a target man, as a, you know, people always use the phrase battering ram. Like he's giving defenders a hard day, but this is now helping all our other players to now be a bit more free, because how many times last season, the season before, Saka's got 2, 3, sometimes even 4 defenders around him because we've got no threat in the middle. So, like, of course, everyone's going to go around Saka, and then the other 2 on the other side are going to go around Martinelli or Trossard. Then all of a sudden, that's our attack kind of stifled. I think especially last season, where we all saw the quality of our football drop off, that was a big reason for that, because like as good as Kai like could play in, and Kai was doing a lot in to help the midfield and stuff like this, we just didn't have that presence up front. So a lot of the centre backs were just having an easy day at the office. So I think just his level of like stress that he brings to the centre backs, I think has shown like in everyone else's performances going up, Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka specifically. Not saying that they need him, but I think it's just helped as an overall team Arsenal to be better in that aspect. But as a striker, he needs to score goals. He needs to put the numbers on the board. Like if we went through this whole season and, you know, he didn't even get double digits, I think we'd still feel like quite disappointed, like as a striker. So I think my next kind of angle I look at him is like, can you bury the chances that we do eventually give to you? And I think, to be fair to him, I don't actually think we've given him the most amount of chances. I don't sit there at 10 games gone in the season to be like, oh my gosh, this Gyökeres guy is like missing chance after chance, and like, you know, we're such a good Arsenal team, but we just don't have the striker. I think he just maybe either doesn't get the service, or just doesn't get the like, yeah, the ball in the right positions to actually put it in the back of the net. But I think when he has shown the little glimpses that he's there, then I think it was maybe only the Fulham game where I saw like he had a couple of chances and the keeper saved both of them. But that's one game out of like 10 where I can say that he's actually like genuinely missed a couple of chances. But most of the other games he actually just doesn't actually get the chances, but he's been so effective in doing all the other hard yards and stuff like this, where I think it's helping us as an overall team. So I think it's been sort of, I'd say, maybe an average start to his Arsenal career, but as an individual. But I think his effect on the wider team has been more of the bigger story to say, maybe at this like quarter stage. And then just final point on him, I would say, is I'm really intrigued when Havertz comes back, how he's going to be used and how they're both going to be used in tandem, because my theory has always been I would prefer Havertz in like the bigger games, like in terms of like the top 6 kind of games, because I think Havertz, like just from previous examples, I think he works and links better in those games, and actually can provide not only a goal scoring threat but can link well with the midfield to then still free up the wingers. But then I think Gyökeres has a bit more of a battering ram for the quote unquote lesser or lower games, as he's basically been showing already, to kind of go against those kind of tough tackling centre backs and go against the deep blocks to really almost like break the deep blocks that they're kind of giving us, to then still again free up the wingers in like a different way to what Havertz would do. But yeah, that's sort of my monologue on Gyök.
It's a good monologue. I agree with all of it, I think. And just picking up on what you said at the end, I'm also intrigued as to what happens when Havertz is back. And I fully agree that I've certain situations where I probably prefer Havertz to play. But I think regardless, right? I think, you know, whether you prefer it or not, we need Havertz back because we need them to share some minutes. Because
Yeah,
in fairness to Gyökeres, you know, the thing that you really got to, I think, commend the guy. He's rocked up. It's a new league. It's a new system. It's a team which is high performing, and everything you do is scrutinized. And he's not had a breather. He's been unable to have a breather. He's been the only recognised striker, fit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much this matters, but the fact is, we just played a week where he had a midweek game off because he didn't play in the Carabao Cup, and he's come back and he's played a brilliant half of football. So
Yeah.
Clearly he's only human, playing in the most intense physical league in the world. So yeah, man, like when Havertz comes back, tactical or not non-tactical, to share minutes is going to be really important. And maybe it is a case where he ends up being a more of a Bobby Firmino figure to us than perhaps we envisaged. Maybe we envisaged someone who is kind of more of a Haaland type figure, But man, as long as we're winning games, I think like that's ultimately all I care
Yeah.
about. I think you really did hit the nail on the head when you talked about the work that he's doing off the ball, just to kind of create opportunities and space for other players, because you can tell he's occupying defenders. You can tell that they're getting annoyed by him. He's just that awkward, clunky thing that doesn't stop
Yeah.
moving and like jostling. And do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can imagine it being really annoying. And Gary Neville said it a couple of times. And I think it's always good to have a defender's perspective. He's always said, like, I wouldn't have liked to play against him. It's just that physicality is just annoying. So yeah, man, like I'm with you, and I think he should be on track to sort of get. If he at the moment, I don't know what tally he's on at the moment, but I imagine after this goal, he's got to be on at least
I think
8.
4 or 5. Well,
In
in the
all
Prem, because
competitions, all comps.
all competitions, yeah, I think he's maybe like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think in all comps, yeah, if he finishes the season with 20 to 25, you kind of go, yeah, okay. And if Arsenal win the league, yeah, and he's like, you take that, right? Like, you take that, whatever.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So look, out of the second half seemed to be a bit quieter, and how much of that is down to the fact that Gyökeres went off, I'm not sure. How much of that is also down to the fact that we're 2-0 up away from home. Let's just like manage the shit out of this one. Either way, it happened and we won, and I think it's incredible again that we didn't face a shot on target very nearly at the end when Marcus Edwards
The free
hits the
kick.
post.
Yeah.
Really good free kick, hits the post.
One thing I'll say, just with the 2-0 and the second half being boring, I've got
Yeah.
this theory that the best, or the teams that win the league every year are defined by the amount of boring, forgettable 2-0 wins that they have. Like,
I like that.
and I think there was another home game that I think, and the fact that I'm struggling to remember it tells you, like, it just 2-0 was a 3 o'clock game is a classic way to do this as well, because it's not even on TV. Just 2-0 under the radar. You get a goal, get the goals whenever you need to get them. As long as it's not dramatic, so you probably either get the goal in the first half, the 2 goals, or get 1 goal either side of half time. But it's just not memorable. It's not pretty. It's not whatever. But you just do it and you move on, and people forget about it. But you have 10 of those this season, and that's what racks up the points where people don't even realize, and all of a sudden that's 30 more points than you would have got previously. Because I think there's been too many seasons, especially for us, where, and that's why the Liverpool thing at the start of the season, I was like, this is not sustainable, where you can't be dramatic every single week, and or you can't just be one dimensional. Like, you have to have those just boring, yeah, we're so good, like it's boring. Like that's the kind of level you need to get to. And I've seen it so many times. Liverpool were just brilliant at it last season, where they've won again. They've won again. 2-0, yep, Salah and Nunes, or Salah and this. It's just again and again and again. You're just winning. City was just the masters of it, because they would do it death by possession and just kill you with a couple of Haaland goals in the first half, and then you can't even get the ball for the next 80 minutes. Like, it's just like all of that stuff. So I think the more of these games that we forget probably shows like more of our champion material, because we're just so much better than you that there's just nothing you can do. And then once we get the 2 goals, like, sayonara.
I like that theory, Steve, but I like it particularly because I think you're specifically saying 2-0 as opposed to 1-0, right? Because those 1-0s are where you get that anxiety, right? Like right through to the final whistle. And I think what you're talking about is just you get the goals how you get them, and then you just manage the shit out of keeping everything low drama.
Yeah.
Like, just 90 minutes gone, you're like, where did that time go? I think it's an incredible point. So if we look through the rest of our squad, I hear a lot of clubs and I hear a lot of fans of other clubs talk about how they've got lots of injuries, and I think most clubs get to say that at the moment, because we're going through this really weird period in the Premier League, probably because of just how many games there are that people are getting picking up loads of injuries. So you always assume, therefore, that the team at the top probably have had some fortune. But it is pretty cool, right, to think about the fact that we genuinely do have a lot of players out
Yeah,
and important players as well. Like you mentioned some of them earlier, but the fact that Odegaard is our captain, our most creative player, and Eze has been a brilliant signing, but like Odegaard is still Odegaard, and
yeah,
he's still this kind of this force to be reckoned with when it comes to creativity. And I don't think anyone quite matches up to him creatively in our side. Then you've got Havertz, like you mentioned. You mentioned JC's before, and our best player, you could argue, for the first few games of the season was Noni Madueke, and
yeah,
and he's been out, right? So he's not there. Ben White has struggled, with injuries on and off. And I know Jurriën Timber's arguably established himself now as the best right back in the Premier League, if not Europe, at this moment in time. So maybe it's hard for him anyway. But Ben White is still, again, a force to be reckoned with. Like he's still an incredibly, valuable player to have played with Saka because of their relationship. So there's
yeah.
a lot to still come, from our guys. In the same way that other teams can say, there's more to come from theirs. So I feel pretty good about it. But now let's looking forward a little bit, mate, is we've got this weekend coming up, and we've got and I'll come back to Slavia Prague because let's not forget we've got a game in midweek.
Yeah,
But Sunderland will see the return of Granit Xhaka against Arsenal, and that'll be pretty emotional for a number of reasons. I mean, he was just this great kind of character in our story over the kind of maybe last 10 years, if you like, and concluding with him being a really really great piece of the puzzle in that season, the first season we finished second. And it's cool, it's super cool, right, to see him doing so well at Sunderland after winning the league at Bayer Leverkusen. What do you think of that in itself? And tell me a little bit about what you think about our upcoming game against Sunderland.
yeah. I think we'll start with Xhaka. I think he was very much a divisive player. I think he did get to the point where before that season, majority of the club fans of the club wanted him to go, and I was at that Palace game where he kicked off and threw the armband and then was swearing at their fans, and it was, and again, a lot. He was put in the spotlight a lot for that, but I think the fans had a lot to be blamed for, because it wasn't just the first game that he had been ironically cheered when he got substituted. I think I'd been to at least 2 or 3 other games where that had happened, where it's 60th minute, thank God, Xhaka's off, and he's getting the ironic cheer. So that was very much the tip of the iceberg to me. He was like, no, I'm not having this anymore. So I honestly did not blame him for their reaction, but of course, when you're a player, you can't do anything, and the moment you react, you're going to be put in the spotlight. So I was surprised, when Arteta came, because I literally said after that game he would never play a game for Arsenal again after doing that. But lo and behold, Arteta had other ideas and managed to turn his career around, and I think
his bags were packed for Roma, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, literally, and it all just kind of went 180. But yeah, credit to Arteta, credit to himself for his mentality and being able to come back with the season that he had in 22-23, which was he did everything he possibly could to help us win that league. There was nothing he did that was not good enough, and there were other factors as to why we didn't do it that season. But then he went and proved that the first season with Leverkusen, he helped take them to an invincible title. So it just showed the caliber of player he is. He's Sweden's, I think, most capped player. Switzerland, sorry, is most capped player. He's they've been their captain and then taken them to multiple tournaments. So he in itself, he's an unbelievable footballer. And he's probably gone to Sunderland for the money, because honestly, I think he didn't even know where Sunderland was when he first signed for them. I think there was a video where he almost it looked like he had a gun to his head, talking about Sunderland. It was mate, you don't even know how to spell Sunderland. You're not fooling anyone. But anyway, he's gone there, and their start to the season has been unreal for the first 10 games. And again, he's been the linchpin for that. Got a couple of assists, but again, he's not one for the numbers. He's one for, if you watch the game, you understand that the impact that someone like Granit Xhaka has. So, all that being said, I'm not the most confident I've ever been in a game going into this Saturday, because they're a good team, and him being in that team, has the, and especially because it's at their place as well, has the potential to be a proper banana skin. If we don't watch ourselves. So I think it's one where I think we're gonna have to be on our guard for everything, and he might have to take another set piece or whatever it is to unlock them. But that could be, that could be more of a nervous 1-0 than what we had for Burnley or what we've had for a lot of other games. So I think it's one where, hopefully, and depending on what happens with Slavia Prague on Tuesday, if we come through that unscathed, then we can have a clean bill of health going into that game. Then hopefully we'll have enough across the pitch to deal with them. But it's a game that like I'm a little bit nervous for compared to some of the other ones we played this season.
Because it's remarkable how well they're doing, Sunderland, right? I mean, it's not just
Yeah.
a team that's got promoted who isn't in the bottom three at the moment. It's a team that's right up there, man. Like,
Are they still in the top four? Am I making that up? Or have they dropped now? They were
let me tell you right now, my friend. No, they've dropped to seventh, but
still.
to be clear, like they're joint. Tottenham are fifth on same amount of points. It's just goal difference, and that's 1 point behind Liverpool and Bournemouth, who are third and fourth. So yeah, I mean, let's make that statement. Oh, and hang on a minute. Sorry, Sunderland have still got a game to play, right? So
They're playing.
still got Everton
tomorrow.
So,
I think.
yeah. Hypothetically, if they beat Everton, they go back to second. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's mighty impressive. Like, yeah. So I mean, I agree with your concern that it could be a little bit of a banana skin. Why couldn't it? I mean, not just the fact that they are doing so well, but I think like we also have to appreciate that right now we are the scalp that everyone wants. Right now we are that team, right? And when you've been winning so many games consistently, there is that feeling of, okay, you look at some point, are you going to slip? And I worry sometimes that when you've got when you build and hype something up in a way that currently it's not even that we're not conceding goals, we're not conceding shots on target. The game where that starts kind of suddenly the keeper's facing a few more shots, I worry a little bit that suddenly the players will go, oh, hang on a minute, and then suddenly the opposition goes, oh my, hang on a minute, really, there's that element. So as long as we can kind of navigate that, I guess it'll be okay. But what do you think the key is going to be to beating Sunderland? Do you think that can you foresee it being a similar sort of game that we just had against Burnley? And I wonder how, I don't know if we know yet, but I don't know if Gyökeres is going to be available, right? Like I'm not really sure. And Zubamendi as well, I think, kind of went off with a muscular injury. Hypothetically, if those two are out, would that give you a more significant concern?
Yeah, so I think to the first question, I speak honestly, football-wise, I haven't actually watched 90 minutes of Sunderland this season, so I don't actually know like their play style. I know a few of their players, which gives me an idea of how they play, but I think it'll probably be a similar like kind of deep block, but then I think they'll press us in maybe like a mid to deep block from what I've seen of them briefly. So I don't think they'll completely sit back unless we pressure them that much, but I think they will try and have a go at us, and I think that's what's brought them some success this season, especially because they're at home. So I think it's one where especially because we're away from home, I think that's going to be a big factor. I think it's at 5. Is it 5:30 on Saturday? So it's going to be even kick off under the lights, all that kind of stuff. It is going to go in their favor.
Good point.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to ride the storm for the first 10-15 minutes just to feel our way into the game and then maybe quiet down the crowd a little bit. And then honestly, I can see it being that you ride out the storm for the first 15 minutes, you pick up a corner in the 20-something minute, and that breaks the deadlock for us. It's such an Arsenal way to do things, but it just would not surprise me if that's how we ended up breaking them down, and then whether that's the goal that we hang on to for the whole game or we manage to nick another one. But that's more how I see us winning the game in that aspect, just being a bit more dogged. I don't see being a game where we can be free flowing and be scoring amazing kind of footballing goals as much as I'd love it to. I think it just could be a bit more of a battle across the whole 90 minutes, and then we just have to find a way in some aspect to score. And we know how Arsenal tend to find a way to score goals these days, so I think that's where it's going to come from.
Do you think we'll win?
I'd be silly not to think we're going to win. I think we're still that good of a team where it's difficult to not see us winning games at the moment. I think, and one of the points I've been thinking about recently is that it annoys me how early we had to play City and Liverpool and the results that we ended up having against them, because I fear no one in this league at the moment, and they are our two hardest opponents, and we haven't managed to beat them this season. But I think they just caught us in a time where we were still transitioning into the new season. And had we been playing them now, I think we'd absolutely steamroll like both of them, like without too much hiccup along the way. So, but if I'm not going to fear City and Liverpool, why would I fear Sunderland? But I just think, I just think it's got the potential to be a banana skin skill because I respect them as a team. What they're doing, that game could end up being first against second if they win tomorrow, as you said. So we should absolutely like respect them as a team and then be prepared for something to go wrong. But if I'm going to put my hand on my heart right now, I'd say score prediction. I go 2-0 Arsenal as a result because I think we are still that good a team. We still have Saka. We still have, Declan Rice. We still have our back four in good health. Like those are all the key factors. Whether it's Martinelli or probably Trossard, I think Martinelli still out to come. These are still very, very like quality players to come and beat Sunderland like where we kind of have to be. But I think there's the other factors that could help it become a banana skin unnecessarily. But I think if you just look on paper with 4 balls kicked, then I have to be confident that we'll win.
I feel similarly. I actually, think potentially a similar scoreline. It feels odd because part of me is just like, we're going to have to concede a goal at some point. So part of me wants to put a 1 in there or something for the other side. But it's interesting, isn't it, mate? Because if we do beat Sunderland, and let's just say Liverpool, Man City is a draw, which isn't completely impossible, but let's say it's a draw, we'd be 8 points clear at that point. 8 points clear after 11 games, which is incredible, isn't it? And then we go into an interesting-ish period. But I guess I guess we're just in the kind of very cliche, take one step at a time, one game week at a time, and whatever. In that spirit of taking one game at a time, the next game is Slavia Prague. What can you see there, mate? Can you see a lot of changes from Arteta? Do you think that he will rotate a bit? What can you see in store for us?
Yeah, I think I can see like a few bits of rotation, but I think the schedule has been okay for us because I think we do Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday again, and I know a couple of them are away from home, but I think the Tuesday to Saturday gap is quite large. So I think he can afford to still play a strong team and allow them to rest, Wednesday, Thursday, and then maybe train Friday before we go up. So I think most he'll do is maybe like a couple of changes or 3 changes max. I think to maybe like rest a few players, and obviously he might be forced into the Zubimendi and Gyökeres changes anyway. So actually, if those 2 aren't fit, then that might be his lot, and he might just say, "Those are my 2 changes because I've had to make them, and everyone else I kind of want to maintain the consistency." So I think that'll be more of a game where like we make the 2 or 3 changes and then we try and win the game early, and then you start resting players for Saturday, like your Sakas and maybe your Declan Rices and people like that, and maybe even whoever plays up front actually could end up needing a rest because they might be needed on Saturday again. And the person that comes to mind at the moment is Marino because he's actually our 3rd or 4th choice striker. Well, actually, probably 3rd choice striker at this moment in time.
So we don't count Gabriel Jesus as being alive.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say Jesus is I forget these guys. So yeah, Marino is genuinely our 3rd choice striker. So it would not surprise me if he started the game up front on Tuesday. So.
You agree? And Slavia Prague, they have I think drawn 2 and lost 1 in their 3 Champions League games. So they're pretty down on that table. Like, so in the grand scheme of things, they're a team that you think we should beat. But Arteta, I think, has proven in how he navigates the Champions League, particularly this new format, is like he really, really wants to. He really, really wants to make sure he gets in that top echelon of that table, right? Like he really wants to avoid that extra knockout game.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to take chances. He seems to like go out with close to his strongest 11 like every single time. So it'll be interesting to see if he really does like keep on that angle with the Gyökeres and Zubimendi, question marks. Saliba as well. There was a little bit of a question mark over him over the weekend. Will he go Mascara? It'll be interesting. But yeah, no, like it's going to be a really fun week. I'm really looking forward to the football this week. It's a bit annoying at the Prague game, right? It's because it's at 5:45. Is it at 5:45?
Honestly, I didn't even realize that. Wow,
I think it is.
it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is. Wow.
It's quite an interesting point, actually. Like because, but that's really annoying. I think for most people who end up watching on TV because
Yeah.
most people have work and whatever. But someone did actually make a good point online, which is that if you are an away fan traveling, actually it's really convenient.
It's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fair play, like whatever. Anyway, Stevie, look, I've really enjoyed this chat. I'm really pleased that you've come on. And let's just sort of conclude on I guess the pride that we feel right now, of Arsenal. But I look at it at the moment and I see us in 4 competitions. I see a really strong squad. I see other teams who have their flaws and have already succumbed to some of those flaws. I see kind of, an outlook which suggests that, all right, Arsenal might drop some points in the future, but so might everyone else. And there's already some points on the board. I feel really positive. Should I not feel this positive? What do you think there is? Again, in fairness, like in a couple of game weeks, Arsenal can lose a couple of games. It could all go. I mean, what is it? Is there anything in particular that if you were to say something that keeps you up at night from enjoying everything, what's that one thing that's keeping you up?
I think if we're being super, super honest, it's just the PTSD. I think a lot of Arsenal fans will probably relate to it because I don't know if I said this earlier, but we've had different types of title winning runs under Arteta. We've had the fast start, drop off like by spring. We've had the kind of Christmas weird period, and we've just kind of seen it all. Or we've had the going right to the wire and still not being enough kind of thing. So we've had it all. So I think honestly, until that gold bar at the top of the Premier League that says champions with our name on it, I don't think we're all gonna properly rest, or unless we're 15 points clear and you just kind of run it down the clock until the end of the season. So I think it's honestly just the PTSD, because as a football team we are so good. Like we can play you on the floor, we can play you in the air, we can battle with you, we can score set pieces. Like we have everything that we need to win this league. So I think that's what is giving all of us the confidence, and the results are showing it. We're not even just a good team on paper. Like we are generally playing so well. So I think it's all of that culminating. But I think it's just the PTSD because we haven't done it yet. Pundits always talk about the first title was like the most difficult one and all this kind of stuff. So we still have to get over that line. And I think it generally is still early. We're coming about maybe a quarter of the way just gone into the season. So I think there is still a long way to go. But I think when you look at us as a team, there's no logical football reason. Like we're all football people. There's no logical football reason why we shouldn't, even with injuries, where we shouldn't, we can cover the injuries. That's the main thing that people would label at us to say, oh, you got in the league. If this one gets injured, that one gets injured. So, all right, let him get injured. We'll just bring him in, or let him get injured. Bring that one in. Like it's not, that used to be our thing, and that's not even our thing anymore. So I think it's just a case of, I think the main confidence I have at the moment is that if we lose a game or draw a game, I can see us bouncing back very, very quickly, because I think we've managed to overcome that, mental hump of we lose one game and then the wheels start to fall off and then we kind of slide. I don't see us kind of going through that anymore, and I don't see us having the kind of level of injury crisis anymore just because we have that good of a squad. So I think it's all gearing up into one direction, but I think until we get over that line, that's where the PTSD is finally going to be cured. So, yeah,
I think you're right, man. I think it is the PTSD. And should I say, you've got some big fans in the comments, mate. I mean, some of these comments coming out. I mean, Stevie, the Arsenal Encyclopedia. I mean, you really are the man. And just to finish up, mate, tell people where they can find you. You talked a little bit about all your 101 endeavors of winning. And beyond the hashtag was, the one that I know you the best for. And as you said, you are an award-winning content creator in that respect. And beyond the hashtag, I guess you would say it's your crown jewel, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
At this point in your career, I guess, and in this part of your career, forget the project management stuff, it's a separate type of thing. So where can people find you, mate? Like, where do you want them to go?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is my kind of main hub where I do everything with I've got my personal page, which is Stevie Adu, then I've got the Beyond the Hashtag, so all the ads is just as I'm saying them, so at Beyond the Hashtag, and it's got a little white logo with the fist in it. That's the podcast page. Same on TikTok. So I've got the same kind of two ads on TikTok. So Stevie Adu and then Beyond the Hashtag as well. So that's where you find like just kind of my general kind of personal content, or if I'm going to games or vlog that kind of stuff, and then and put little clips and stuff out. Beyond the Hashtag pages are where I'm doing the knee slide content. So every week, as I mentioned, I'm rating all the Premier League knee slide celebrations that happen. So I think at the moment I'll go as a live. I kind of write them down. So whenever I watch, because I watch all the Premier League highlights, and then as I'm going through them, if someone does a knee slide, I just make a cheeky note of it. So at the moment this week, just as a little preview, there are 5 knee slides at the moment, and that's before Monday Night Football plays tomorrow. If there's none tomorrow, then I'll just do the 5. If there's another one, then I'll add to it, and then that should probably come out by Tuesday or Wednesday, just as a rating as to who's had the best one. Or I don't even rate them against each other. I just rate them as individuals, like out of 10, and then whoever wins kind of for that week. So that's kind of what's been populating my Beyond the Hashtag stuff at the moment. And then, as I mentioned as well, like I'm now getting more formally into kind of emceeing events, hosting kind of stuff. So that's going to be kicking off pretty much in November in terms of like that page and kind of all the works I'm doing and being able to like take bookings and stuff for people's events and stuff. That's all kind of kicking off, and it will be across all the social media platforms, Twitter as well. I forget Twitter exists sometimes because I go on it, but I don't really post too much. But the same ads Beyond the Hashtag and Stevie Adu and is all on Twitter. And even if people want to find me on LinkedIn, I put stuff on there on more of like a professional corporate side of things. That's just again Stephen Adu before my name, and then Beyond the Hashtag has a page on LinkedIn as well. So I'm across everything, wherever you need to find me. All the podcasts are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you need to find them. So yeah, I'm covering as many bases as I can to kind of attend to the needs of the community.
Look, you have no excuse not to find Stevie. He's clearly given you loads of avenues to find him. You have no excuse. Stevie's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Raj. Thank
man.
you.
And I really hope I get to see you at the Emirates soon, mate. I mean, what's our next home game? Spurs.
Spurs. I'll be there. Yeah.
Well, we'll get a drink then.
Yeah, let's do it. It's Sunday afternoon kickoff, so it's easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm looking forward to it. It feels so weird that it's that far away. You know, it feels like we've got to go through all of November until we can get to a home game. But, they come in buses, don't they? Because we've got that, and then Bayern Munich immediately afterwards. So
we had a mad October where there was like 5 or 6 home games in the month or whatever, and I think it almost got overwhelmed. I was like, bloody hell, like, I can't spending so much money, and I'm going back and forth to the Emirates so often. But again, when you're winning, you're like, oh, so why not?
You go, exactly. Take my money. Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
But no, Raj, really, I appreciate it. Honestly, this has been a long time coming, and like I said, I'm genuinely a friend of the podcast. Like before, like I was doing any kind of content stuff, I was always like watching you guys and following and sharing and stuff. So yeah, like if guys in the comments, like please like follow and subscribe to the Arseholics podcast. It's not just Raj. There's a few other guys who always consistently kind of doing stuff, going to games. They're just good lads, and as I said, we will grab and catch a drink. So if you guys are at the Emirates, come catch and grab a drink with us as well, because they're just normal good fellas who are just talking good stuff about Arsenal, and hopefully in a few months' time we'll have a bit of a parade to celebrate all this kind of chat as well.
Absolutely, I love that. No, please, yeah, and just doubling down on what you said. If anyone is at the Emirates, or on the North London Derby or wherever, just get in touch with us. Always love to have a drink with people. So yeah, thank you. Look, thanks for everyone for listening, and thanks for everyone in the comments. A lot of people here who I've not seen before, and they're probably big fans of Stevie. That's probably why he brings his following. So look, thank you all. Good night, and up the Arsenal, lads. See you later.
Bye.